route. We'll find another way out of here. This tunnel has to go somewhere.
I certainly wasn't born on the bayou, but Lincoln Clay was. Here from the very first title from brand new team, Hangar 13, a team restructured and born out of the old 2K Czech that made the previous Mafia and Mafia 2 games. Some of the members are part of the California-based studio that developed this title, with most likely an updated version of that engine, which could possibly still contain PhysX, physics and cloth, which runs throughout the game and also handles other parts of the game's physics animation system. This is a much anticipated PS4, Xbox One and PC release that controversially touted 30 FPS on PC upon release this week, but that's already been uncapped. I've seen on the internet. I do not have a copy myself. Both versions you're looking at here I've purchased myself to test, and this is my first contact analysis. For people who are not used to my channel, this means that I take a quick look at predominantly the performance and the overall game, and it won't dive too deep into the technology just yet, because it's usually just based on my first few hours with the title. I will cover the game title and engine in far more depth, as always, in my detailed head-to-head. That said, what are we looking at here? Well, it's a beautiful looking game with a clear, distinct resolution difference between the two formats, giving us an unsurprising figure of 1600 by 900 on the Xbox One or Xbox One S here, and obviously a 1920 by 1080 resolution on the PS4. They both target 30 FPS, and with the day one patch included, it means you then get a nice temporal anti-aliasing solution and some more benefits to glitches in the game, but they don't eradicate them totally. The game does have quite a few texture pop-ins, flicking and filter issues, along with cube maps and screen space reflection issues throughout the game, with regular points of the lighting system moving far too fast, all looking like the shadows have just come over to Doomsday. There's parts where the sun filters and the bloom is so strong it looks something out of a nuclear holocaust. But this is a large open world, and generally it's very impressive. The asset quality, certainly the texture work and its PBR materials, does work incredibly well, especially skin and hair, which is highly impressive in the game. Main character Clay actually has some very nice hair, with some dithered effect on the fins and also self-shadowing across his hairstyle. Other characters also see movement and physics just like cloth, which is quite impressive throughout play. Cutscenes obviously ramp up the materials, with most of the character models being pretty much identical in both the mixture of blink video, full motion video sequences or pre-rendered sections, and obviously real time. You tend to notice these easier by the additional benefit of a film grain effect and obviously much higher quality motion blur. Now, the game does have motion blur during gameplay, both per object and radial as you're driving through the city streets of New Orleans, which is very well created here, but again, like I say, there are some areas of issues which may be patched at a later date. In terms of the visual effects, we have some beautiful volumetric lighting effects which work incredibly well in the sections where you're being searched for using stealth. Model quality and animation is very high, especially again in the real-time cutscenes and obviously the pre-rendered ones, but also during gameplay, with nice animation sets and clean blends between jumping over walls, taking down characters with a swinging close takedown. It's the closest we're going to get to seeing our own Black Dynamite video game. But he's still one badass motherfucker.
Baddest mother to ever hit the big screen. Main man, Black Dynamite. He's super cool and he know kung fu. Drives a $5,000 car and wears a $100 suit.
You're so righteous.
This is also true.
Michael J. White not only delivers the action but also the voiceover, with very convincing dialogue throughout scenes from himself and other characters in the game, making him very likeable, and you warm to him quite quickly, which helps with the main protagonist throughout this game. The story mode does flow quite well, and actually you find yourself quite engrossed in seeing where it all leads, starting from the Vietnam flashback sequence, how the story unfolds with interviews and more of a documentary style. It actually really works. The game's cast does comprise of very much 2D good guys and bad guys, and the confusion between them, and as you fall deeper and deeper into this Mafia-led style, I did find myself being more intrigued as where it all leads. Now, when it comes to performance, both versions are much similar. There are some visual differences I've noticed thus far, but it could be time of day. The bloom does look pared back on the Xbox One compared to the PS4 here. Now, these are equal times of day as far as the game is concerned, so this should be identical here, but it might also be just an error, so don't get drawn in too much to the differences I'm showing on this early version, but I will cover more later. In terms of performance, they are pretty much identical with their 30 FPS target lock, but it's not really what we are seeing. The game doesn't suffer from dips that bad at all, pretty much holding its 30 FPS quite solidly throughout play, but they both suffer equally from chronic and persistent frame pacing issues. As you can see on screen, we never get a flat 33 millisecond delivery, with the game consistently spiking between 16 milliseconds and 50 milliseconds, giving us a flat 30 FPS. But again, it's not smooth and it feels worse at certain points. Now, some may find this feeling like it's actually dropping frames or dipping, but that's not the case. Again, most famously shown from Bloodborne, but here both versions suffer equally. There is a point in this video here where you'll see the Xbox One does pause for 0 FPS for about 2 or 3 seconds, but this was a streaming issue and was a one-off. I couldn't recreate this on the Xbox One even though I went back, and I actually had one on the PS4, but I wasn't recording it at the time. So don't worry about the actual average overall, they are pretty much identical in terms of performance. Like I say, with the fact that they hold a 30 FPS throughout play, it shouldn't be a problem to fix this. Well, at least on a technical hardware level, but whether or not they'll jump on this frame pacing issue first and then look at the other glitches that the game does have, they aren't show-stopping, or at least I haven't found any at the moment that are, but the game certainly feels as if it got out of the gate just a little bit sooner than it was really due. Now, other than that, the game is, like I say, very beautiful, and the vast expansive world and also the options in the game, including changing the driving to a simulation effect, with the handling and physics on the cart and tyres and off-road sections working very well. There's some beautiful water and some great sequences, and also that soundtrack does work very well, capturing a lot of the old 60s soundtracks, not songs that I would know firsthand, but I'm sure everyone sitting playing this game, no matter how young you are, will recognise many songs in the game. It's a very well crafted and put together title that just is a little rough around the edges, and those frame pacing issues are a bit of a problem. I really hope the team can fix this, and so the game gets the credit it deserves, and they can also smooth out some of the quality issues. Like I say, it's a very beautiful game with great use of effects. Even though chromatic aberration does creep into the title, it still looks good throughout play. Helped no end by its dynamic time of day and weather, which does help certain areas of the game look better than others. That's the way that the nature of the beast. Lighting is always the most important part. Anyway, that's my time up for my first contact. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, or anything else that I've put together, please help support me and my channel with its unbiased and independent status by liking and subscribing, and of course, sharing where appropriate. Leave all your thoughts and feedback below. I'll leave you with a few more minutes of Black Dynamite in New Orleans. Play fast, play hard, and I'll see you on the next one.
Shoot him from the side!